And a thank you to Nighthawk there. Yes, welcome to Revolution Radio. This is Studio A. It is time once again for Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. Hello, everyone that is listening, all 14 of you. But I love you, but from afar. Let's keep it that way because, after the court cases. Anyway, I've said too much. Big thank you to Why Not & Co. for the last 2 hours. If you enjoyed the 2 hours or you just like to support the station, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and click on the Patreon link and just share $5 here or $10 there. We don't accept children. We're not going through that again. And once you've helped out the station, because we're 100% listener supported, so thank you for everyone that has helped us out. We're 100% volunteers, so big shout out to everyone that works for Revolution Radio or with Revolution Radio. Is Revolution Radio. And I still maintain that one day we should have a staff meeting. I don't know how that would go because everyone's unique individuals. Let's be fair, as well. And once you're at this said website, pop into the merch store and buy some T-shirts and caps and so on, and onesies for the kids and everything else like that. Then pop into the chat room and hang out with like-minded, like-hearted, just loved people and connect with people from different places around the globe, or planet, or the hologram that we call Earth. And you will realize that you're not alone. So that's part of this show. Planet Collingwood is an open round table, but it's from through a comedy lens. So that's why there's all the jokes. And it's so the alphabet agencies don't actually listen to the show because, they're just being stupid. And then we slide in all the information as well. So it's the thinking person comedy show. And I don't get really hassled by the alphabet agencies yet. I was going to call the show Hello ASIO, but I'm not sure how that would work outside of Australia. Now I have three guests. I should write that down. So there we go. I have three guests: Victoria, New South Wales, and one of our West Coast correspondents. So I'll just introduce them periodically. I just like that word. I've been watching a lot of The Wire, the TV show from the early noughts, which is a stupid term for the early 2000s. And I will try not to speak ghetto. All right? You feel me? We've been joined by Cortek from the land of Cell Block E, or New South Wales, or New South China. I don't know. Cortek, what's it like up there in Sydney today?
It's nice and sunny.
Yeah, so it's sunny down here. It's like the first day of summer, and we're still in lockdown. Thank you, Leader, which is Führer's German for leader. So yeah, it's good. We have a version of Freedom Day on Friday, and I reject the title because the government's running our lives, which I think is completely foreign to our American friends.
It's not really freedom when you come out of hardcore lockdown into apartheid. I mean, really,
the segregation, wearing masks, all that's a good time. And for our American audience, it's like, yo, what? Because their country's built on freedom. Ours is sort of, it's alluded to be freedom, but then if you go against the narrative, you get in trouble. I'm having fun. Hello, May Street 139. I don't think it's their address.
So that's by the way, I really like Hello ASIO. I think it's catchy.
No, g'day ASIO.
G'day ASIO.
Yeah, g'day ASIO. Yeah.
One word.
Yeah, funding. Anyway, we've also been joined by Hijacker. Hijacker, how are you, sir?
Doing great. We American cousins are just watching you Aussies. You're the canary in the coal mine.
Yep. Yeah.
In the cage in the coal mine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're glad that we're an example because you've got to cling to some positive what we're going through. So I have seen a lot of American TV shows and American YouTube, just Americans saying we don't become Australia. And it's like at the start that stung, but now it's like good for you. Please don't, because
we know, Monty, you do have some help coming through.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a moment, mainly because I will introduce our fellow Victorian, Aust Paul from the north, yo. So once again, it's that wire thing. Yeah. If I hear the N-word one more time. Anyway, Paul, how are you?
I don't know.
Well, at least you're being honest.
Is that an N-word? No? Or is it K-N-O?
No,
But yes, I'm here.
we're not going to dance around. Well, it's an anagram of ginger. All right, so let's move on. Let's just leave that to the side. Have you? Hollywood hates redheads. I don't know why, but that's that. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, good times here in Victoria because our leader is just. I don't know if anyone saw his press conference yesterday, and if you didn't, good for you. You have a functioning brain and critical thinking. But he was so gleeful. It's like I'm a psychopath vibes coming off it. So
Oh,
He's
was
like
that
that 9-year-old
Pale?
kid that never got any friends at school. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead, Oswald. As you were.
okay, well, chime in when appropriate. Hijacker, what? I know you're sort of having a furlough from the radio station, from my understanding, which is understand. I've been feeling that it's like in this spiritual war, religious war, however you want to call it. It's like I want a month off because in World War One, the troops would leave the front for 3 weeks. I hope that's a. Paul, we can hear you. I don't know
Paul,
what
that sounds that I can only describe that noise as fapping.
Yeah, he's playing the spoons or
No,
a
but-
dog's licking themselves. I'm not sure, but
It's one of those bats with the balls in the middle.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty funny, Marnie.
Thank you very much.
Dogs
So,
licking themselves.
well, I've been around animals, yo. Damn it! just gonna wire up the whole. I enjoyed the show. If you like, please, it's worth watching. And then, it's written by people that aren't in the television industry, and it shows. And it's been described to me as like, the West Wing is a course in federal politics. That's how people say, how do you know so much American politics? I watched The West Wing twice. That's basically how, I mean, obviously it's not 100%
You could run
true.
for president.
I'm not that corrupt. How dare you? Don't make me come up there.
Actually, Monty, you got a pretty good grasp. If I were to rate you, you would be, as far as your political knowledge, you would be like ahead of 80% of Americans.
Yeah, that kind of scares me at the same time, but I'll take that. I'll take that
so
compliment.
if
I'll
I
take
were
that
to- if I were
compliment.
to say, who's the, well, you would know the vice president. Who's the governor of Florida?
Is DeSanto.
Right. Who's the governor of Texas?
Abbott.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
good.
who's one of the federal senators from West Virginia?
Costello? I don't know. West Virginia. I'm not sure. I just
Starts with an M. You've heard it before.
I'm sure I have. But,
Manchin.
okay. We'll stop there because I see. The other thing is because I've been.
The point is that just you having that much information, 80% of Americans don't.
Yes.
That's my point.
Yeah. Well, it's that's one thing from the lockdowns or the last 20 months. Or even Donald Trump when he won. Doesn't matter if you like him or hate him. He was a catalyst for a lot of people to look into the political system because they either loved Trump or they hated Trump. And then you have President Biden come in and just wow. I've stopped watching him. That clown is. I think his family should be arrested because, normal people would have got him to get help for his dementia. And yeah,
He's not doing anything. We can just assume that he's doing everything that everyone else used to do, which is lie, rob, cheat, steal.
yeah, but badly. It's just badly. Anyway, Hijacker. I know. I was getting at is you don't pop on air that much. Paul, we can hear you. Paul, please mute Paul. No.
There is a way to mute them if you have to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right.
I don't know how to do that.
No, it's not that one.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. We just sold some.
No, you weren't muted. That's what I was pointing out. You unmuted yourself earlier. Anyway,
Anyway, that's all cool, mate. There's stuff that we can do in Victoria. My gosh, even though you people on computers, there's a bit of dirt in the background that you can put some seeds in and sell them off.
You bloody computer people.
Yes, I know. Anyway, I just want to get, because Hijacker, it's a rare moment. He's like a full moon at the moment, where actually, strangely enough, in the next 24 hours there is a full moon. No correlation. But I know Hijacker pops on when he has actual information.
There is something about a full moon that the cops swear by. They swear by.
And emergency rooms in hospitals.
The hospitals swear by it. There's a lot of people that swear by it. But no, you got some help coming on the way. So a month ago, or maybe it was 5 weeks, I used my bat signal as a reality changer to basically call forth the great and mighty king of Mother Russia, Vladimir Putin, and gave him a concept, basically saying, look, you can become the world president if you stop these lockdowns. You can start by stopping what's happening in Australia. And you can do that through all of your various Russian oligarch type of networks. You know, we all know all governments arm different groups, different proxy wars. So anyways, I says, you got to arm the Australians. And basically, the idea was to tell the Australians where the story ended up, is Putin was only willing to go as far.
Hold on, let him finish. Let him finish. Just let him get the thread out at least.
Yeah, let the idea come out, and then
with you. This actually is in the news. It's happened. Anyways, I told him, look, you just need to get a plane and then leaflet the Australian people on how to build 3D slingshots, whatever kind of weapons to arm them. So what's happened in the last 4 or 5 days?
It's not going to bloody work.
Shh, let me finish.
What's happened in the last 4 or 5 days is that supposedly a Russian network there in Australia, he's given the wink and the nod to arm the Aborigines, so that you white boys in Australia got to go to the Aborigines to get Russian guns shipped in. Now, what happened today is the FBI.
I said,
he's not finished yet. He's not finished.
What's happened today?
This is like a Matthew Riley fantastic Ice Station novel or something. Go on.
Right. What's happened today is the FBI raided a Russian oligarch in D.C., a couple of his homes, one in New York, one in D.C. Anyways, turns out that this guy is like, he's like one of the mob oligarchs of the sort of the Russian government. If you knew how it was set up.
Was it John Wick?
Well, no, I don't know. You can look up the name. FBI raids Russian oligarch, but he's big into moving arms worldwide. And so, damn if they weren't thinking about starting to sprinkle weapons among the Aborigines, knowing that the Aborigines ultimately are going to end up selling the weapons. So it's a business. Weapons over to you Australians. Game changer.
It is one of the most ridiculous stories I've ever heard.
It's true. Look it up.
Thanks for the support there, Cortek.
No, it's not.
The thing is, with it's the half of us. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. Half of Australia are supporting the governments, or 75%, and that's sort of. Or there's a lot of people that are umming and ahhing. It's very Australian. Oh, I don't like what's happening. Do you want to do something about it? I did. I just told you. That I'm upset about it. It's like, well,
I didn't think we ever really got above 50%. I can't believe any of those poll statistics. But generally, and people said, well, I hope we're doing the right thing, and got 1 or 2, shots to go along with it, and that was under the guise that they thought everything would return to normal, because they weren't promised in paper, but they were kind of verbally promised, and then they just started kicking the can down the road. So. I find it hard to believe that they ever got above 40, 44, 46% with anything that they were doing, and are just trying to back out of it now in a way to look like they've, mission accomplished. Is banner in the background. They've done a good job.
Someone pointed out on Twitter, it's like, well, the government's lied about everything else, so why should we believe the vaccination rates?
Well, a fellow Australian was on Rents Tonight, John David Oates. And he's been sick for 2 weeks. he went to a birthday party where all his family was there. He had a fairly large family. They all got vaxxed. In fact, I think yesterday or today, his own daughter, who's in healthcare, got vaxxed. But he ended up getting shedding. He got the spike protein, or he was sick for a couple of weeks. But I mean, if his whole family got vaxxed, I think the level of compliance among Australians, and we have another Australian, Big John. He's like a rich guy that lives in.
He got vaxxed, double vaxxed, yes.
It depends on what you have to do for work at the moment.
Exactly. No, Big
That's
John,
what it boils down to.
He just might got a double flu jab because he's but where elderly are more susceptible to the American Pfizer than the Australian Pfizer, which maybe we don't include something.
Well, the AstraZeneca.
Maybe we do.
The AstraZeneca shot that was used in Australia was made in Australia, and I think they created 50 million shots, and they're sharing it around with the Pacific Islands, and
that's correct.
Have fun with that, gents. And but the
now,
Pfizer,
is that the one? Yeah, is that the one with the little monoproteins that turn into nanobots, or is that just proteins that will break down and like the flu shot?
Well, we have to wait and see.
Which we don't know.
Well, I was going to say, because without poo-pooing on everyone, unless we see actual evidence of nanobots, they've talked about it, but also we're talking about people that are idiots that are running the show. If you ever been to Vic Roads, I'm not sure what it is in New South Wales, but in the United States, the DMV. Now, they're not known for efficiency. So with this type of thing, and also if they're just making the same thing over and over again, it's like a copy of a copy of a copy. So
I like the old
we do actually have to wait and see. Now, I'm not saying ignore it, but we have to wait and see what actually happens, because now
it could be 10 years.
Yes, well, if I was working in Big Pharma, you don't want to kill everyone. You want everyone to slowly die, and so you can suck the money out of them. You want them unhealthy, not dead, because a healthy customer, a healthy person is a customer lost, but also a dead customer is a customer lost.
It's a fine line.
Well, yeah, and so it's just easy to make people sick, and you get more, and then you drag it out. So we're in that fun part of watching it unfold. Now, there has been talk that we may start seeing it next year. Israel, I believe, is at the forefront of this, because the data that's coming out of there, and they had the passports, and they've changed the passports as well, where now you actually have, I think is it 3 or 4 months after your second jab. If you don't have the third jab, you become instantly unvaccinated, because you need to have the third one for the booster. And you're talking about, well, that's the thing. It's like you're going to wake people up, because it's like, in 3 years you've had 57 shots. It's like, wait a minute.
Every single angle doesn't make sense. The vaccine doesn't stop you getting it or transmitting it. So then how does the passport work then? We've checked you. Oh, wait, no, it's flicked back to unvaccinated. Wait, it's flicked back to vaccinated. Wait, it's no, it doesn't work. Just trying to slow things down and stop people.
If the government actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this. If they were actually honest about it, saying that, well, they said it once and then changed the narrative. Sorry, Hijacker, just give me a moment. The idea of the shot is to lessen decrease the severity of when you get COVID.
Snake oil words.
Yeah, but people have been getting it and blah, blah, but it's been sold. Even Biden has said it last week, get the vax, you'll be safe. And it's like, well, it's not inoculation. It's still, you can still get it and you can still transmit it. The idea is, to start with, was to not make people so sick that they actually have to go into the health system, which will collapse because it's utter shite. Hijacker, please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say basically is that there is some data coming out of both Ireland and Connecticut where they got like rates of 98% of the people been vaccinated. And, all the people that are now in the hospital with COVID are basically, they got sick. So there is something to that. And then the other thing about this Aboriginal story about these Russians arming them.
Absolutely ridiculous. People got to talk.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Are your Aborigines like American Indians? Do they got like casinos?
No.
No taxes on their alcohol?
No. They're not reservations, but they have. I'm not sure what the legal term is, but they've basically got communities. Their domestic violence is through the roof. They have a problem with alcohol because before the Europeans turned up, there was hardly any alcohol in their diet or their. I mean, they could probably eat a yam that's been in the sun too long, but they've never actually had their DNA makeup is very susceptible to alcohol, and it just destroys them. And they're basically, in short version, there isn't a treaty with, there were wars, they lost, there hasn't been a treaty, and so it's amazing that they're the only group of Australians that are sort of ostracized and shunned and blamed and everything else like that. But there's 200 countries or whatever, and everyone else gets along fine, and they're treated kind of well, except for the actual natives. And they've been trying to turn that around. It's not hardcore racism from the government.
Right, but so they're almost like the poor in the ghettos in the United States. Then that's what you're saying.
There's elements of it, yes. Now, there are successful Aboriginal people as well. Now, we're talking only, is it between 1% to 3%? Now, before I go on, we've been joined by Harry, another Victorian. He may be able to add to this conversation because he's here too, physically on the show as well as the country. Harry, are you there?
Whoever wrote the story with the Russians obviously doesn't live in Australia because it's a complete claptrap with a total misunderstanding of Aboriginal people here.
Well, wait a minute, Cortex. You do understand the power in politics is perception. That is
it's illusion and perception.
Right. The idea is that the great and mighty king of Mother Russia would help.
It's very American. It's a very American story to just bring Russia into it always. It's just so boring. It's like those comic books that just, Spider-Man, look, he saves the day. Spider-Man 43. Go, how many times are we going to hear the same thing?
Cortex, when did you think I actually gave President Putin the name, the great and mighty king of Mother Russia?
Probably a couple of nights ago while you're dreaming. I don't know.
No, it's been a while.
About 2005? How about 2005 when he was on the verge? Would bless them, double him in power when he became president again, and then prime minister, and then again.
You should call him and get him on the show. That'd be cool.
No, he created a title for him. He doesn't have a Putin phone like a bat phone.
Oh,
Hijacker.
You don't know how the internet works, then, do you?
No.
Hijacker. So, anyway, Paul, go ahead.
Wait a minute. Do you know that if you use somebody's name and when they're a certain level, whether it's a rich guy, banker, it could be a celebrity, do you know they get that information? You cannot use somebody's name without them finding out that you used it. You do know that, don't you?
Depends how you're using it, in my experience.
Right.
Anyway,
good luck to him.
Moving forward.
And good luck to him, I say.
Anyway,
Hijacker.
Before we go on, sorry, Paul.
I'm going to go sideways. I can see it now.
Yeah, hang on. I want Harry to actually say hello, so I know it's not a bot.
Hello.
Oh, damn it, he's a bot. Back to you, Paul.
There you go. Don't worry, Harry's cool. Yes, Hijacker. I'd like to know. Back over 15 years ago, when we were talking, with non-compensating, and that you were actually on a fair few important people. I know that you were on, and I even heard everything about you and the whole lot, because, yes, but way back in the day, you even gave away your name and the whole lot. But now we call you Hijacker, so... which is fine.
I'm amazed, Paul, that
back
you can
in the
speak
day,
and not give any information.
Please. This is actually very similar to what we're talking about today. Remember when you were talking to one of the greats in the world, right, about UFOs and this and that? And can you repeat when you said that our economy is going down in America and the reasons why? and you actually said a few candidates, which actually one was president.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, look, Revolution Radio wasn't on 15 years ago, so
that's actually was a little bit, but yeah.
And as far as using my name, I use my Christian birth name. A couple of nights ago, I gave it. Let people go ahead.
No, I was referring to really, really back in the day when you actually talked coast to coast.
Yeah. Anyway,
I talk to a lot of people. I know the power of. First off, most people.
What have we learned from this?
Most people do not know the power of an idea or a concept or strategy. It has a life of its own. It does not matter where it comes from. If it is good enough, it finds its target. That's the way it works. In the age of the internet, it works even better. So if you release a concept, something powerful, especially to a powerful person, and they see that it's a type of weapon to them, and they can use it, they will pick it up and use it. Yeah. They may change it, counterfeit it, whatever, but they will use it.
And to go a bit woo, it's been shown that an idea is thought by about 4 people at the same time around the planet, which is fascinating as well, where the way that consciousness works, where Hijacker may have, Hijacker would have an idea, 3 other people around the planet, like they have the similar idea. It comes down to
do they have the idea?
Well, they have something.
Who's got the throw weight? Who's got the delivery system? And since I'm known among these elite, these one world order high council people, then I get through. But you're right. Once you birth an idea, it spreads. It's weird.
I had an example of that. It was with music, but I wrote a riff on guitar, and then I heard it in a Korn song 3 weeks later. I'm like,
I was about to say, was it still in heaven?
And it's like, and a couple of friends have had that where they've written a riff, and it's just David Wilcock. I think in his book, The Synchronicity Key, he's done that where we know that the Wright brothers did their flight first, but in 1908. But there's an argument that someone in New Zealand about 3 weeks earlier did something similar, and it doesn't really matter. Right. Yeah, it doesn't.
Wave of inspiration.
Yeah. And
if 4 people have the idea at the same time, are they really having the idea, or is the idea kind of being? Is there some kind of Rupert Sheldrake talks about something called morphic resonance, which is that whole thing of how birds know how to fly together, or how this information is kind of held as ideas kind of thing, but is an easy way for kind of
another way of saying it, which is not incorrect or correct, is if the soul is broken up because a human body can't take a whole soul, it's the oversoul has the idea, and they're experiencing Earth on 4 different points, and the idea comes down. Even like in entertainment, where there is a lot of predictive programming. Yes, like the Battle of LA, which was supposed to be a trilogy, but it sucked and no one saw it. But other times,
pretty much all of Hollywood.
Yeah, most of Hollywood over the last 10 years. But creative people, they delve into these ideas as well. Like, I would love Hijacker to write a series of books from, the last decade of Revolution Radio, the ideas that he's put forward. The one that sticks with me, Hijacker, is that you put forward an idea that Russia could invade the United States, and it wouldn't be like a Red Dawn scenario, but I think you said there was 1,000 gyrocopters with elite Russian troops, special troops that could come in, and I'm like, that's a possibility.
Are they Spetsnaz?
I'm not sure.
That was taking the Ukraine. How the great and mighty King of Mother Russia could take the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Basically with. He could do it. He could do it like in 3 days. It would take him 3 days. All he has to do is decapitate Kiev, the capital. It's over. So
yes, because
he doesn't even need to fight the rest.
So Monty, what other subjects have you got on the list to talk about today?
Well, you sound muffled. It sounds like you're talking to your elbow.
Get your mask off. Come on.
Yeah, I saw people driving in their car wearing a mask and was like, that's a commitment that I can't get.
Oh my God. Who are you going to get it from? Or
well, now I've done it as well.
It's okay.
Yeah, but the
It's
reason,
okay.
if
Harry,
apparently I can't. I was just very quickly, I had to drive from one car spot to another, and I was only in the car for 30 seconds. I kept my mask on, so I'm just pointing that out.
Anyway, we're going to tell Harry. We're talking to the Americans, but you're allowed to stand on your feet, not your head.
Okay. Does it sound better?
Much better.
Yes. And remember, all your maps are wrong. Australia is actually on the top of the world because there's more land mass, and so that's how that works. And you can buy them on the internet. I looked them like, oh, awesome. I don't know why. I don't get visitors, so I can't show it off. Anyway, what's your Harry? Did you see our fearless leader, the psychopath, do his anything to say about our Freedom Day? They're not actually calling it Freedom Day. It's just a roadmap out, but. As Cortek beautifully pointed out, it's like, not really freedom when it's apartheid.
Well, the only roadmap I was looking at today was when a friend of mine, Kat, came over. We went out to Rainbow Parrot Creek and went for a walk and a paddle in the water, in the river, in the stream.
Now, I hope you have you seen the people swimming wearing a paper mask? That's funny.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
No, we just had to get away, and it's a beautiful day, as you know, in Melbourne, so had to get away. Spend some time up in the bush, so that was nice. But no, I don't have a TV, so I don't even know what's going on out there in the crazy world of.
Well, in short, Daniel Andrews has pointed out that we'll have a vaccinated economy to at least April or May next year, which means apartheid, because believe in New South Wales, December 1st, they'll get rid of the passports. And then Andrews said, but we built all the infrastructure. Why would we get that? We're not going to do that.
They just want to keep it going and
going. That's like, even if, for argument's sake, in this example, the New World Order is just a theory and it was made up to just distract people. The Victorian government seems to be following it by the letter. It's just ridiculous. And I don't know how the Australians will fight back. It's similar. We have a very laid back culture. Or we're lazy. It depends.
We know exactly what has to be done, but we know there's no honor in taking things like that, even if it's taking things off the government, because it leave this vacuum for more stupid residue to leak back in.
And if we move to the North America, it may work because that country was built from a revolution of kicking out the English. And so I can see sort of doing that because the federal government is not act in in the best interest of the people.
Yeah, Monty, but this is where
you need to understand the history of what's happened with eugenics in Australia. I'll put that in the chat there. Monty, if you want to read that out over the radio, that'd be really good.
Just give us the gist of it.
But basically, it was practiced by the Australian federal government. Was right into it in the 1900s. Up to the 1930s, and it was the University of Melbourne, including a guy called Berry. What was his name anyway? And other chief researchers.
This is including when the government went around and took Indigenous children and tried to make them white, kind of thing.
Yeah, even in the 20s, in Perth, they were still trying to breed out the Aboriginal gene.
Yeah, exactly. And it was for some of the stuff that they did was to look at groupings. The bill was aimed at this bill was important legislation in the form of mental deficiency bills were presented to the Parliament in 1926, 1929 and 1939 by the Premier Stanley Argyle, a friend and colleague of Berry. The bill aimed to institutionalise and potentially sterilise a significant proportion of the population. Those seen as inefficient, included in this group were slum dwellers, homosexuals, prostitutes, alcoholics, as well as those with small heads.
It very much seems like the same modus operandi, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also for a quick. I don't
think we need to hear the whole thing.
A quick tidbit about Australian history as well. Up until the 1970s, I think Gough Whitlam, I would have voted for him compared to Fraser, but then they ended up being friends, but that's a different conversation. I know, yeah, I was born. But they got rid of the white Australian policy. They would only allow in Europeans and just Europeans, and they changed that because of I think Vietnam was a major shift. And so what Harry is mentioning, it's not a shock at all, as Cortek says. Like, that sounds like run-of-the-mill stupidity that they, well, we're better than everyone else. Yeah, but you're destroying everything. Oh, shut up.
Well, Monty, you got another American Western gunslinger.
Well, yes, he's from the Midwest. It's the middle, all right? Anyway, we've been joined by John Wayne, not the actor. John, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just been listening to you guys having a good conversation and trying to make sense of the insanity of the world for which it is now, I guess, or which it is becoming.
Yeah, and it's good to you through it because the insanity is so comedic. It's good to have that comic bent because it was serious. It would just be tragic. And like the last week's show that you're on, that's doing well on YouTube. Apparently, I'm over 200 views in 6 days. I'm like, wow, people like me. But the show was cool. I love labeling the episodes, and from tragedy to comedy. And because I did mention that once you break through the tragedy, you can see the comedy of things. Now, it's not like 17 clowns come out of the car unless they're going to Congress.
Fun.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well,
but
we have that going. We've got that going on the southern border. So I mean, we kind of,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not hilarious, but it is a form of comedy where it's the whole thing about 11,000 people living under a bridge. And Kamala Harris, apparently, who's the border czar or something, hasn't been down there, or she went down. It's that level of comedy. It's very similar to gallows humor, where the idea of gallows humor was that someone that was going to be hanged, they could stay alive longer if they made the crowd laugh.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's kind of cool.
I didn't know that either. That's interesting. Well, speaking of that, have you seen the video of Gates in his little entourage or in his vehicle being surrounded by extremely angry people?
I didn't see the video, but I saw a post about it where Bill Gates has shouted. Was he in Washington? Was that where he was?
No, I heard he was in England somewhere.
Oh, okay.
United Kingdom.
Oh, it's London. Oh, that's even better because London's not really a British city; it's a European city. And if you leave, you've got the rest of England the UK compared to London. And
Monty, if you want a little hope, John Wayne, you ought to get that little 45-second clip of the crowd surrounding, beating on the limousine of Gates, and hear what they're yelling. I mean, they're talking about. They're talking about like mass murder and arrest them. I mean, they're really.
He's one of the fall guys ever since Event 201. And he was dumb not to see that himself. His wife, or that man he married, knew that he was going to be the fall guy in this. And so she left early on. So, Monty, I got no sympathy for the retard.
Yeah, Monty, let John Wayne play it. We can. It's only.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's Monty's broadcast. He can play it if he wants. I think he.
If I figured out how Skype works, because the last time I tried to play a video, it didn't really.
That's what I'm saying. John Wayne, he knows. I'm like you, Monty.
We'll see what happens here. Let's see. If we can
a hijacker. I should just remind you that your name is Hijacker. So
that's why I'm here.
Exactly. So
I'm here to dominate, take control of this thing.
You may try, sir.
Monty, there's one more thing that did make me laugh today. And if we could play it right after this, I think you guys will get a laugh out of it too. It's actually this video right here. That one right there. That an official from a country can't even find his own country. I'm not even going to mention the country until maybe we get to it.
Yeah. So that backs up the whole thing of we're run by idiots. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's play this video and hopefully.
Do the setup. Here's the setup. The setup is Gates is pulling up to London, some kind of gates, iron gates or palace. He's getting ready to go in through too. Cops are all around him in yellow vest. The crowds are on either side. They're really close to the limousine. They get close enough to be able to look in through the dark glass, and it appears that Gates is in there. And then what you're about to hear is what the crowd does when they actually realize the big fish that they got in the limo right outside the palace gates, in which they eventually rush him in. He gets delayed for whatever reason.
Yeah, hit it.
You murdering Bill Gates! Hey, come on! You son of a bitch! You have blood on your hands! You have blood on your hands! You murdering son of a bitch!
He's a liar!
We know who you are, you son of a bitch! Murder! Arrest Bill Gates! 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 Murder! We know who you are, you son!
And then the car speeds away.
Yeah, I think they went to the Alex Jones School of Protesting, because that guy said it like, "Hey, now the thing is,
that was real.
I know that was
real rage.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was not fake. That was real.
No. It is totally real. And the thing is, you don't have to go with just in the last 18 months where conspiracies and what you can just take the data from what the Gates Foundation has done in India and the continent of Africa, where he's not allowed. They're not allowed. I think he definitely can't be, but a lot of the organization can't get. They're not allowed back in because they've seen the damage that they've done, where they inoculate the whole village, and in 3 weeks later.
Okay, Monty.
You're right, Monty. But what I'm saying is these are the
Monty,
royals,
shush.
and they're. Let me just finish.
Let him finish.
No.
These are the royals, and that's the mob. And the thing is, you're right. They do have all the information. Well, where Wuhan, where the flu came from, Fauci, who backed it, all the knowledge is out there. And now the commoner, the mob realizes who's been doing this to us, and they're right at the gates. I mean, literally right at the London.
Bill, right at the gates.
I love you at Bill's. Hijacker. Jackass, sorry. Yeah.
Hijacker.
Yeah,
He's not a gardener.
Yeah, Jacker, you actually got to say and not double talk at the same time. In the same, my golly gosh, you're for them and then you're against them. This is double speak, and we don't like double speak, especially being Australians. But please,
it's not surprising.
When you've got something correct to say, which you normally do, don't go on the other side until you hear someone else.
Okay.
Because it gets confusing.
Yeah.
I only talk unless it's important.
If I can say something.
Yeah, anyway, let's just talk about information. So, Mr. Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying it there, when's it going to get to the point where the people get together and come to the understanding of, hey, man, these are some evil bastards. We're starting to see it.
Yeah.
And what's another time we saw it in history? It would have been in 1943. Benito Mussolini and his wife. If anybody's ever seen them famous photos, or if you haven't,
up, didn't they?
Right out in the middle of the city square.
Maybe there was a butcher shop involved or something.
Yeah,
there's a lot of controversy. Yep, go ahead, Jacker.
Yeah, you got Ceausescu on Christmas Day. The crowd got his wife and him. They put him against the wall, and his wife says, "What did we do to you? We loved you." And then they were all shot. They were all gunned down. That was her last words.
Good times.
No, the elite know this. They know they're close, and they realize that worldwide, everybody's waking up.
They're close to failure.
Yeah, and also, someone not playing devil's advocate, but they'll say, "Oh, the same thing happened to Gaddafi." It's like, no, that's completely different. They were paid mercenaries, and he was murdered on live streaming, but that was orchestrated. That wasn't the people rising up. That was a certain faction taking over Libya, and you can see. I mean, they actually have slave markets in Libya now. So thank you, Hillary. Certain words I can't say on radio, but because if you look at even before, the difference between Iran and there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of corruption around the world, but what we're seeing is that they want total control over everyone, and it's like the Hunger Games.
Very uncool.
Yeah, the footage of Bill Gates being chased out, that happened to Justin Trudeau before the Canadian election. He was getting surrounded. He was doing a walk and talk around suburbs, and he was basically chased out by people.
Right.
Now, if you remember, now this is 5-10 years ago, Prince Charles and Camilla were in in one of a royal taxi, a car, and they actually travelled into a protest, and the protesters were so angry because they're pushing everyone to the limit. We're in survival mode, but once you take away everything, if you lost everything, you have nothing left to lose. But the complete shock that these two royals they had no idea why the peasants were rioting, and that's the bubble they live in. And the media helps this out as well, because if you look at Bill Gates, I'm different from Bill Gates. Oh no, I'm the same as Bill Gates. I don't have a medical degree either, and yet he's one of the biggest vaccine pushers. And the media does it as well, where there was 5 articles in one day about Bill Gates, and one was his Bill Gates Spotify list, and what does Bill Gates have for dinner, and all this. They're just pushing it. And that's the other thing, what you're mentioning, John, is that the media is exposing as well, because it's not really critical thinking. They've gone over the line. They're not hiding anymore, and they're just it's basically
broke.
Gates was on a talkback show, in a morning talkback show, espousing how much more profit there is in pharmaceuticals than in computers. Oh, it's like 20 times the profit. Right?
You think somebody might have been standing there in that crowd holding a pie in their hand, just waiting to get the chance?
Which is very Canadian, apparently. A lot of Canadians get pied in the face. It happens a lot here occasionally here in Australia as well. A comedian that I worked with for many years on the stand-up circuit actually pied Steve Bracks, who was the Premier at the time.
Yep. Nice.
I threw a prawn cocktail on the Premier Gray's lap. Tasmania.
Well, I mean, George Bush Senior threw up on the Prime Minister of Japan, but I think that's completely different.
And
the bigger issue is
I also mentioned Kevin Rudd do the hokey pokey on around the world.
Well, there's that too. Go ahead, Hijacker.
Yeah, the bigger issue is the worldwide politics of this pandemic, and so that's what I was basically laying out as a strategy. And if
is there any strategy, or is it just crisis management now? Because that last election just shut up for a second, Paul. Let people finish. That last election just basically killed the idea of democracy in this current system for everyone. If you
I know. If Monty Dean gives me, it's going to take me about 45 seconds, maybe 60 seconds to lay out what I'm talking about in regards to, because the whole world is watching Australia.
Jonathan, say it.
No, I'm only gonna go into it if I get a time frame. I'm not gonna get cut off. I'm tired of all this rabbit. It's like a dog.
You gotta not repeat yourself though.
Oh, Monty, so we got rules now for 45 or 60 seconds.
Just
I would get the airtime.
Just share the idea and get just share the premise of the idea.
Right. So am I going to get the 60 seconds?
No, just the premise.
Well,
okay,
I mean,
forget it.
You can't.
I can detonate things anywhere. I mean, I don't have to do it. I mean, if you can't even give me 60 seconds.
Cortek's just a sidekick. He doesn't control anything.
So, at this current point in time, we've already taken up the 60 seconds that it would have taken to get through the point.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, once again, this is not the first time.
That's the point. You can't even give somebody like me 60 seconds.
Just go. It was okay for the third time. Just share your idea, and everyone else be quiet.
Okay, so here's the idea. Here's the concept. The concept is that basically politics, we all know, and power is perception. That grows out of strategy. And so when you take a look at Australia, and you take a look, what the world takes a look at what's happening to Australia, if you had somebody that came along, one of these world leaders, and they're all jockeying basically for world power, or at least the perception of power, as the president of the world, as far as poll numbers. all these different factions, they fight over that. And so you take a look at Australia, everybody's looking at Australia, everybody's mad that we're all being locked down. And then a guy comes along who's already got poll numbers astronomical in the United States, doesn't matter in the world. The great and mighty king of Mother Russia, Vladimir Putin, has high numbers everywhere. So if he is perceived as the guy that's going to actually come and help Australia break the lockdowns, even if it's a rumor that he's going to give weapons to the Aborigines, it doesn't even matter. But if that's the perception and people perceive...
That's time. I get the feeling that you're kind of repeating yourself there. Trying to work in some dialogue with Russia and Australia that is just a repeat of the story.
Not even 60 seconds.
None of it.
He just timed it out. He literally just timed it out.
Sorry, Hijacker. That's
all right. We're not at a pub. Let's not start a pissing contest.
Wow. I mean, it's just
anyway.
Really?
I understand where you're sort of coming from, and
if your country, you got people.
Sounds like an agenda, Jacker.
Yeah. So anyway, now the thing is with
it's not true,
let me finish. And then, Paul, I'll share your idea because what you shared a little bit there kind of makes sense. That may explain the constant Russia as the boogeyman as well. The controllers are afraid of Russia and what it can do because they're all. I mean, there's a basic level that they need an enemy to can move their agenda forward. Paul, go ahead.
Okay. Some fun ones is Pompeii and Nostrovia, we've been around Russians and in the Pacific, and we've got Indonesians who can outspan us anytime on this tiny little island, right? And sort of overtake us, but they're lovely people. And the best part about it is they love their home country, so do we. And we help around our industries, Vietnam, you name it, Australian does it, right? Especially for around Indo-Pacific, right? We don't mind the Chinese because we've gave all our tooling over to them. About 7 years ago was the end of all our tooling, except for some tooling that the rich keep on. But yeah, our industrial Holden, our industrial Ford, our automotive is gone. Thank you very much.
Kevin Rudd spoke fluid Mandarin, so that will give you an idea of the power of what's been happening in Australia over the years.
Yeah, you've got the Chinese connection. The Chinese have been here since 1850 here in Victoria because of the gold rushes.
But it's been segmental taken off us with under our noses. We didn't listen to the bikies. We didn't listen to the wharfies. We didn't listen to the people who I'm one of the ones that didn't get listened to
60 seconds
over the years.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't put the timer on that one, Jacker.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We're talking about a big issue. We're talking about
not a fake issue, sorry.
Big.
It's a big issue.
Check it out. One of the things that I've seen here. I'm not drunk. One of the something I saw here a little bit ago. I was looking into this ship fiasco off the west coast of the United States, and at the port of Long Beach, I'm coming to find that a lot of them ships there sitting out there waiting to go in, or whatever the case may be, they're Chinese. So we're talking about,
wait a minute, John Wayne. We're talking about trafficking.
Okay, Jack,
presidency of the world, using Australia, shutting the lockdowns.
Hey, it sounds like you're going in circles, Jacker. JW, what is going on off the coast? Is there just lots of ships not being allowed in?
Off the coast is more important than the lockdowns, right?
Hey, we know this stupidity has to end at some time because none of it makes sense. So we know this is linked. There's bigger things.
They are linked as well, and I'm not sure if there is a slowdown because of COVID here in Australia. During one of the earlier lockdowns last year, Melbourne was in lockdown, but a lot of planes were landing here, and it's like, well, hang on, what's going on there? And so I'm wondering if we can go to the US with they're talking about supply chain collapsing, is because you've got all these ships waiting there. they're blaming there's not enough people to move it out of the ports. John,
that's
what?
That's what they're saying, but that's not the fact. From what I've gathered, is the ports are moving at like full steam. But for whatever reason, I've been hearing the word blockade coming up. And I mean, we're not going to allow the Chinese to blockade any ships on our own coast. Our Navy wouldn't put up with it. Our Coast Guard wouldn't put up with it. But the thing that is interesting, I did check out the ship tracking application thing, and a lot of them ships off the West Coast are Chinese.
Well, globalism, everything's made in China, and so that's one major problem. So we're coming to the midpoint of here at Planet Collingwood. Bit of argy-bargy at the end, but I think I'll try and get better at hosting. We'll be back after these messages. Please stick around.
Violent. I've decided this conversation is going to get more violent.
And we're back. It's Planet Collingwood here on Studio A on Revolution Radio. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to revolution.radio and or freedomslips.com and donate what you can. We're 100% listener supported, 100% listener volunteer. We're just 100%, yo. Once again, that wire thing keeps coming back. Once you're at the website, buy some merch that helps out the station. Yeah, there's mouse pads, which are actually for a computer, not sanitary. And then your T-shirts and caps, and also pop into the chat room. We're up to actually 39 people in the chat room at this point in time, which is a quarter more than I usually have, and they're all talking. So something must be up. Must be the full moon. Usually I only get 29 people and no one talks. That's the power of Planet Collingwood, ladies and gentlemen. And I have many a guest who hopefully had a breather, being joined by Cortek, Hijacker, Aust, Harry, and John Wayne, not the actor, because I love that nickname. John, did you finish your? We're talking about the supply chain in the United States. Hasn't really hit here in Australia.
Watching Australia. Don't you want to talk about Australia?
Well, I was about to, but you interrupted.
I mean that's the most important thing right now.
Right.
What happens with Australia?
Hey, let me finish. I'm going to say that a lot, aren't I? Ah, dear me. Grown men, ladies and gentlemen, grown men. Here in Australia, because we are so far away from everything, there's that hint of isolation. So we do have enough food if it's done well, and we can survive. However, what we're seeing is the insanity from the political class, especially here in Victoria, where the psychopath in charge will not give up power. His government is being investigated for corruption, for some other things, but we're coming out of. Yeah, I know it's really fascinating. Not the same things, but still being investigated, as well as the thing is now we're starting to have medical segregation. And it's interesting to see there are pushbacks where there's been a couple of protests that the police have left alone because they were protesting something else. But if you protest the establishment or the government, the police crack down hardcore. And the Victorian police have lost respect from the people
that they had,
and it took a while for them to get it back because Paul and Harry, remember, I mean, the Victorian police, even since Ned Kelly, their first instinct is to shoot you, even though if you're jaywalking.
Right. So, Monty, what the rest of the white Western Christian nations are looking at is Australia. They know how Australia goes. Is going to go the world. You are the canary in the coal mine.
Sorry to interrupt, but Canada as well. Canada's doing something similar, but it's more in a Canadian flavor.
No. Australia's the point.
Now, check it out. So I watched a documentary the other night, Australia's 60 Minutes, okay? And they had this special on about war with China. Okay, I don't know what you guys' stance is with their broadcast, that agency or whatever. I don't have any idea. But it was really put together pretty darn well. And then it seems to me Australia is just as concerned about the United States and 3/4 of the rest of the world about China.
Yes, well, China is doing its Chinese thing.
If Australia falls with the pandemic.
Can I butt in, please?
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatnot because I'm sore, and we've got TV on ABC, and sometimes they show what they're doing live. And that's so funny because sometimes I'm too sore to go back to sleep until.
Sorry, Paul. Can you clarify what they're doing live? Who, what? It's obviously it's a live stream.
Parliament. Yeah, this is the Parliament.
I know. Are you talking about question time? The Australian Parliament with question time? Is that the show you're referring to?
Oh, the Australian Parliament in the city. Well, all they've they're sort of sitting in their own houses and they've got their own little backgrounds.
Yes.
You've got But anyway, these are the ones to listen to at 3:00 a.m. in the morning. Why? Because that's where they pass the bills.
Oh yeah, all the dirty ones they do in the dead of night.
Yeah, well, it's actually it's not actually live.
We are talking. It's like you're a recording, Jacker. We're talking about Australia right now, and
you're not talking about freeing Australia. You're talking about some bill and just
if you let me
crap.
We're talking about the political
This is what what's the real strategy on how Australia can get out of this?
No, it's not a real strategy. This is how I like to picture you. You're in front of the whiteboard or something. You've got your points up there with the permanent marker, and you're saying point number 1, Russia. Point number 2, Russia with an arrow pointing to Australia.
No, I'm talking about
point number 3, smiley face.
Yeah, all right, stop. Right, please stop. Now, what I'm helping out because my Australian contingent audiences would be. I think we could organise a netball game with the amount of people that listen from Australia. Everyone else is outside. So here in Australia, we don't have C-SPAN, but the ABC, which is funded by the government, but they try
That's
to
the
be.
point, Monty. Australians can't pull themselves out of this. They're going to need help. Who's going to help them? Who's going to help you stop the lockdown and stop the worldwide lockdowns?
We don't need help with this one, Jacker.
Anyway, so question time.
Can you look up netball? There's no backring on it.
Yeah, okay. You're right. You do understand that hey, hello.
Unbelievable.
Just hit the mute button on them if you get tired of them, Monty.
I'm trying to figure out that. It's just there it is. Now you're in trouble. Okay. There is a question time, which is only an hour a day. It's like, well, what the hell do you do for the rest of the day in Parliament? Is shown at like 1 o'clock. I think it could be 3 a.m. sometimes, but it used to be 1 a.m. So it's not good that Paul has to wake up because he's in pain. Yeah. They hide. Yeah, they actually hide the question time late at night. We showed it on television. Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, and no one's watching.
What Australia needs to do to get out of this? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, if you let me finish, I will try and get to it. But once again, I'm interrupted, and we have to go back to the start.
Okay, well, let's go to 20 and 30-second rule, Monty. Let's do that.
Or stop interrupting people, and I'm only got a small paragraph. And yet it turns into a 5-minute monologue of saying, please stop interrupting.
I don't know the relevance of it. We're trying to figure out.
Well, if you wait till the end of the paragraph, you will get the relevancy. You have to wait.
All the information.
Yeah. And I mean, Cortek interrupts all the time, and I scold him.
I feel bad about it, though.
Yeah, you did it again. Anyway. They show that, and now what they're doing, that's when they slip it through because politically no one cares. They just watch the mainstream media. The thing is with Australians, and the Australians on the call, please chime in, is that most people still put up with the government or they actually follow the government and think they're doing a good job. Even with corruption, there's that Australian apathy to the political system. So to get to what Hijacker is mentioning about how we can get out of this, there are protests and you're fighting the media as well. And so as the lockdowns continue, more people are waking up because they can see the hypocrisy and the ridiculousness and the stupidity of all. Because here in Victoria, they're already talking about a booster shot in the new year. And,
right, Monty. And so the whole world, the whole world is actually watching Australia because they know if Australia goes down, we are next. We're talking about it in the United States.
The thing about it is Australia. Now check it out. Australia, the Chinese would be an absolutely.
John Wayne, let me finish the point. Everybody is freaking out. What's happening with Australia? We're all watching you.
That was like a month ago.
On you.
Yeah, and it's the police brutality coming out of Victoria as well. Mr. Wayne, please, because you're
the problem. The problem that persists is if the Chinese are able to formally take parts of Australia, let's say they don't take the whole thing, but they take some areas to put some air bases. That's going to give them full-on superior strength in the Indians.
We're not talking about war. We're talking about the lockdown. We're talking
that's
about
one of the that's the goddamn reason, Jacker. The lockdown is happening because of the
integrated.
Chinese.
There's a big
Hijacker,
problem
now
all mixed together at the
Please
moment.
mute out. Please mute out. Otherwise, I'll mute out again.
The thing about China and Australia is that if China does anything, they have the whole world to contend with. There's not many. They don't really have support. Especially with the submarine deal between the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia.
Now,
speaking of that,
and I was about to pivot to that. Yes, okay. Once again,
have you heard of that U.S. submarine that struck something over there in the South China Sea? Did you guys hear anything about that over there in Australia?
No, what happened?
We were talking about the lockdown of Australia. Are we going to?
Yes, we're going. Oh my God, I'm going.
Oh.
Well, John, you're muted because Cortek got a bit excited there.
I pressed the wrong button.
Children. So
everybody's muting everybody now? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Sorry, John.
We're trying to talk, but we can't get to a point because we keep getting interrupted.
I'm trying to talk about the lockdown of Australia. Everybody's focused on Australia right now.
Yeah. Paul, stop that.
How do I unmute John? The little bubble
John
moved.
John has to do it himself.
Okay, sorry, John.
That's so funny.
Okay, there we go.
Right now, everyone, take a breather, step back.
Please, John Wayne.
Stop all this muting.
Hand up the mouth.
So 2 weeks ago, there was an incident
like to hear
South
John
China
Wayne,
Sea.
please.
Well, then stop talking.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, there was an incident in the South China Sea. A U.S. nuclear submarine struck an object underwater. The Chinese have come out, a formal general over there in the PLA, and said that they demand that the United States tell its American public what that submarine struck.
What was
it? It was stopping Australian lockdown, right? Is that what we're talking about?
This is JW's story. You sound like a broken record. Back to you, JW.
So it's possibility that sub might have even hit a mine. It might have been torpedoed or something. The ship was damaged. Not much has really been said about it at all.
What does this have to do with the conversation?
Because
this is the conversation.
Because of the entire situation of that area of the world, Jacker. China is on the doorstep of Australia.
We're talking about how Australia
I'm pretty sure they've got
lockdown.
Yeah, but the thing is,
if want to bring things around and round and round.
Yeah, but if Australia is in lockdown, and China attacks, that's a good thing because everyone's in lockdown. What we're seeing now is that people are coming out of lockdown because of the vaccine rates, allegedly. And so there's a roadmap out because they realize that lockdowns aren't working politically. And so they need people to move around. Their step is that you'll have a vaccine passport. Now, the thing is, as we've seen in other countries that have done this before, even in Russia had vaccine passports for 3 weeks and they got rid of it because no one was going to the restaurants.
The UK tried it as well and totally abandoned it.
Yep. Yeah. We had actually a QR, not a QR, but we had a tracing app back a year and a half ago. They spent millions of dollars on it and it didn't work. And so that's why that hasn't been used. So what we're actually seeing is New South Wales has started to open up. Queensland. Now, I think where Jacker could be getting towards is that our state borders are closed. So we can't Paul, Harry and I can fly to New York, but we can't travel to Bendigo, which is a 2-hour drive from here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so what?
My point, Monty, is that you need a world leader to help you get out of lockdown.
We are getting out of lockdown though. That's what's happening now. Is the government?
No, your health minister just said for the unvaxxed, they're not going to get out of the lockdown until like 2022, like June or something.
Why are we even looking at this like it's a localized problem that's happening in Melbourne or Sydney? This is a worldwide thing that's going on. That's basically seems like the gain of function research was started with you guys.
I would say
the US really was the place to look for whether things are going to fly or whether they're not.
That's Fort Maryland.
That's my point. Australia's got something to trade.
Hijacker, shush.
Wow.
All right, calm down.
The funny part about it is, please, it's going to function. It's not got to do with the virus. Idiots.
No,
It points the finger about who was playing around.
Work it out.
Yeah, but Canada's getting. If I may, Canada
It's
is
like a bunch of drunk guys at a bar. Come on, nobody.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that. No one listens. I'm the host. Dude. No one listens to me. It sounds very disrespectful.
Nobody can make a freaking point. Everybody's talking over everybody else.
I know, because people interrupt me when I'm trying to make a point, and we'll lose listeners because they rather listen to what free exchange of ideas instead of like So, in Canada, Justin Trudeau is not allowing anyone to leave on the 1st of November. You actually have to fill out it's actually what happened here in Australia as well. In Australia, New Zealand, they're trying different things across the world. Now, Melbourne and Sydney have been like a beta test that's where people have been watching Australia because our populace are more compliant than most others. Now, at the other end of the scale is the United States because you're getting that pushback, which I do find interesting as well. So we are talking globally here. Cortek, you raised your hand. Put it down, please.
I'm putting it down now.
Actually, today.
Hold on,
no, Paul. No, Cortek.
I find it super interesting. Yeah, and if you do want to say something, just chuck your hand up. Maybe we can do it that way. I find it super interesting that the dates are shared in this worldwide model.
Mm-hmm. Yes, October the 15th, last Friday. That was just not Melbourne, which was a mandate. It was other. Paul, did you see like it was Angola and other places? Go ahead, Paul.
But also, just yesterday and last night was from the Vatican and this and that, the other, saying no vaccines and the whole lot, and also in Italy. So, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. Italy's going off as well. Hijacker, go ahead.
Okay. The point is the whole world is focused on Australia and what you're going through. We all know that if Australia falls, we're all going to fall by basically the same method. That's my point. And so how can Australia free themselves from their predicament? And I'm saying you cannot free yourself. You're going to need outside help. So what do you have to trade?
The program's not strong enough to stand up on by itself. We've seen that. Okay. It's falling down and crumbling as we speak.
No, the thing is,
I'd like Hijacker. Wow. I'd like Hijacker to actually ask me, and I'll ask him a nice question. How can you feed my sheep from over there?
Valid question, a bit odd, but still valid.
I know, but it's still relevant.
The thing is,
Hijacker, you got to work out commerce, dude, and understand.
Yes.
Also, in between the factors.
Yeah. The
one issue. Really, nobody can make a coherent point. Is really this how you want to run your show?
No, you are over. Hey, you know what, Jacker? You are overbound right now, so you better back the hell down.
I've been trying, because this whole respect thing. But we've been arguing for 20 minutes and trying because people won't allow anyone to finish a sentence.
Well, go a 30-second rule.
We did an hour of talking, so that wasn't time. That was just natural flow. Why?
Everybody gets to talk for 30 seconds.
Yeah, but
anyway, with that?
No, here we are. We've been hijacked. We've been hijacked again.
30 seconds or 60 seconds.
And we're talking rubbish. There's nothing being done here. Okay, and it's mostly because you're interrupting everyone, Jacker. Okay.
Oh, is that right? I'm talking about how to free Australia.
About
and
the same thing.
And then I'm trying to answer. Stop. I'm trying to answer your question, but everyone, I'm not allowed to, which I find interesting.
I just find it so repetitive how Jacker just says the same thing over and over. We're not talking about the most important things unless we're talking about my 3 words that I've got up on my whiteboard in permanent marker.
One issue here in Australia. One issue here in Australia is people still believe they can vote their way out of this. Does that help with the scenario? Harry hasn't said anything because
we're talking about how to free Australia.
Really? And so am I. I am as well.
Five Australians on the call, and they won't even talk about it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, because you keep interrupting. Now, everyone, be quiet. I would like to hear from Harry. I would hear Harry's point of view, because, as I said, one problem to getting out of this is that most of the populace believe, because this is new for Australians. It's not like, the Revolutionary War in the United States, all the crap that's happened in Africa over centuries. It's the first time here, and people still believe, we'll just vote them out at the next election. And that's kicking the can down the road. Harry, I just want to hear from you, because everyone else is jumping on each other. Hopefully Harry's near his computer.
I am, and I'm alive and well. Thank you very much. The way I look at it, right, as Hijacker was saying, what are we going to do about it? Like, the Eugenics Society controls this agenda. Gates' parents were part of the Eugenics Society as well, and that's why Gates is doing what he's doing. I mean, that's just historical facts, all right? And we know about the Committee of 300. We know about the black nobility of Europe and all that sort of stuff, who are controlling the narrative today, all right? And that's the situation we're in. But how do we get out of it? Well, again, what Hijacker was getting excited about is there is a Russian connection, and there's also a German connection with the Aboriginals, because the Germans were here long before the British were here, and so were the Chinese for thousands of years. So that's all rubbish, all that stuff that people are going on about as far as who's visited here. But
that's a different conversation. Yes, you are correct. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but the point being is the Aboriginals are a very small percentage of the population. They've been disenfranchised since colonisation. And even now, when they're given their lands, even now during these lockdowns in Western Australia, the government is ruling other acts of legislation over the Land Title Acts to take their land back for mining. Mm-hmm. So these things are going on all the time. And what this whole lockdown is a smoke and mirrors show to get people distracted to doing Simon Says while they're doing something else.
So, if I may ask a question, Harry, that's sort of the land title stuff. That's the globalism aspect, isn't it? It's they think the economy's the economy's the thing, and so by doing that, those savages have been living in tents for whatever, which is highly disrespectful. We need all the rocks underneath because we can sell it to it's that that's that forced evolution of globalism instead of letting it happen naturally. Yeah. And Western Australia, for those who are unaware, they're actually blocking people. They're the only place on the planet that is still going for zero COVID, and they've closed their borders to people in Victoria and New South Wales, even though they've been double jabbed and they're vaccinated and they've got their passport and stuff. They're not allowed to go into Western Australia. So there's internal conflict as well.
Schisms, you can't open up the country kind of thing. Yeah.
Mr. Wayne.
I could add to some of this. It makes me wonder, because it is a good question to suppose. Who's going to come to you guys' aid if I'm telling you, what's going on over here is not good.
There is no Superman character there.
No, we are full on being invaded. We are completely overturned within our internal structure. We've been usurped from within. We've had our country stolen, basically, and hell, the criminals wore masks while they were doing it.
Yeah.
And they had had the military there that actually turned their back on them. Now we have X amount of military stepping down, and then whatever military that we do have, they're starting to put them in trucks and hospitals to run this whole thing over here as they collapse this country. My big concern is, and everybody better be listening good. My big concern is I think in the middle of this winter, they're going to pull the plug somewhere around late December, early January, just when it's just as frigid could be. We understand they've got a depopulation agenda, right? That's what they're doing with this thing. They're sticking in people's arms. Some people, other people they're just getting saline water. But this is what I foresee coming.
I thought most people in the US were kind of cluey enough to have the Jenny sorted out and stuff like that.
So if the world is focused on Australia right now,
they're not. My God, can you at least change your sentence somewhat so it doesn't sound like you
speaking
for 20 minutes ago?
Wow,
we're focused on everywhere. We have here. Listen, Here, listen, we're focused on everywhere. We have Barcelona, Spain. We have Barcelona, Spain. We have Italy. We have Germany. We have vast parts of Europe. Even Eastern European countries are up in arms. We have Australia. They're up in arms. France. I forgot to mention France. The United Kingdom. They're out of fuel. They're fighting at the gas stations.
But everybody is watching Australia right now. That equals political power.
That's because they're looking at Australia from Canada's. I would say Canada and New Zealand seems to be quiet for whatever reason.
No, not Canada.
They're looking at
Australia. Everybody's watching Australia.
That's an interruption, Hijacker.
Bonnie, I wanted to ask you that. You guys are over there in that area. What is going on in New Zealand? There is no news coming out of New Zealand whatsoever.
That's because
it's been super quiet.
This is incredible.
Yes, it is. So stop. What is happening is like we only see the uprisings now. Australia's not, and New Zealand as well. Our protesting is very, very small compared to Italy or Southwest Airlines or France and everything else like that. Where our percentage is the Aussies on the call. What do you think? What 10% the size?
No, it's just made me think about the fact that I haven't really heard much out of New Zealand the last kind of 2 weeks to a month either. Not even from Vinny Eastwood.
Well, the only thing the only thing I know about New Zealand is that Vinny Eastwood was arrested.
When you want to give me 60 seconds to talk, let me know.
Well,
will that be it? Will you finish what you're saying and not say it again? Because it's like I'll give you a minute and a half.
Yeah, gentlemen. Hey, no, stop. Do you understand? Is this your first roundtable? I try to be. Yeah. I try to be a gentleman.
We've got a lovely lady.
All of your hearts are being exposed.
Also Australian.
We're trying to answer your question because it's global. Yeah, what is happening in Australia is a beta version of what's happening, but in New Zealand, New Zealand's
Australia.
I'm trying to tell you.
Give me
you don't make good radio,
go.
Jacker. You don't make good radio, okay? Let people talk.
In New Zealand, and then we have another guest. So, everyone put your pants on. And just putting it out there. It's not a Zoom call. We don't work for CNN. In New Zealand, they're very compliant as well. It seems to be the Five Eyes countries that are being hit the hardest. And to get out to answer basic question, we need the people to actually go out in numbers and protest. Not a violent protest or anything else like that. The people need to show the government that we disagree with what is going on.
No, you need help. You need help.
No, there's people.
You need help, Jacker.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
standing up for us as well. It's not just the government. There are people within government who are actually standing up, like Craig and other people who are making the way. So, and there's a new petition out to expose the Heffernan report, which is all the pedophiles within politics and stuff. There's a new petition that's been raised to government to allow release this gag order to come off it, so we can get these mongrels.
Definitely one of those jobs on the list.
We have a new caller, so what we need in this argument is another voice, really. Because anyway, I think Paul muted them, which hopefully they can unmute. Are you there, caller? Who dat and where you at?
My name is Bill Gates. I thought I'd call in.
Mark Zuckerberg, get off the call. So, let's.
I think it's Pac. Is Pac on?
Yeah, but I think Paul accidentally muted.
Bill Gates from hell will not prevail against the army of God.
So, okay.
Let's go Pac.
Okay, please unmute. Yeah. Oops.
Pac, come in. You got female. Let's get some feminine energy in here.
She's fantastic. Actually, she's from Queensland. So,
now that's a different kettle of fish.
That's right. And she is so full of it and more than I. So, Percat, please unmute yourself and bring it up to the boys and tell them
how it is.
What we're doing at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
I didn't realise I was muted. Yeah.
Sorry.
Paul got excited.
Actually, me. I tried to mute myself and I accidentally got you too.
Geez.
No, which is why I was talking myself. Thanks very much for that. Okay, yeah. Well, have you heard what our lovely Premier put on her little Facebook thing today? We now have 11 days to get vaccinated in time for Christmas. So does that sound like a blackmail to you people?
Oh, yeah. The coercion. I'm from Melbourne, so the coercion is intense, and yeah, we've been definitely seeing what's happening in Queensland, and she seems to be a bit of a nutter. Your Premier, I'll just point that out.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just there's a hint. You can see it in the eyes. One of her quotes this week is like, the virus will open at this date and we'll definitely get the virus coming in. And so it's more fear-based NLP type of word salad, and that's why you're not probably getting the people to actually go out and protest in their hundreds of thousands. However, for Melbourne, you would have seen, being in Queensland, you've seen the protests in Brisbane for, they were chanting Australia wake up. The Queenslanders are actually doing very well at standing up against this stuff.
Yeah, we've been protesting in Brisbane for Victoria since your probably first or second lockdown.
Over a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that she said today was, jump in the lifeboat and get a vaccine.
Yeah, it's not exactly positive terminology, is it?
Yeah, jump into the lifeboat and get yourself a vaccine.
Everything just seems so underhanded, from the terminology to every single aspect of this. Like, how could you? It's so interesting hearing someone with boots on the ground in Queensland as well, what's going on there. We've almost got the whole country covered.
Well, it's interesting with Sydney, with the new Premier, they've made that shift out of lockdowns, but there's still segregation and everything else like that. When Premier Andrews in Victoria, I know we have an international audience, so I have to keep saying all these names so people understand what, because I can just go, oh, Dan, and like, who the frack's Dan? People were thanking the Premier of New South Wales for Victoria opening up because the political pressure, and there is this schism between all of it. And have you know, like, it's a pet peeve, but everyone keeps referring to Australia, but New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland are all going through different phases of what's actually going on, but it's lumped as Australia. Our Prime Minister is nowhere to be seen. He's a complete, what's a friendly family word I can say on radio?
He's on a big marketing lunch.
Well, yeah, his nickname is Scotty.
We're not going to talk about the world. The world
kind of like Manuel Macron.
Hang on, John Wayne. We're not going to talk about the world.
We are talking about the world.
Yeah, we were here already, Jacker.
Wow, not even 3 seconds now.
Not really, because you kind of say the same things over and over, and it gets a bit boring.
You know what? I'm just going to hang. I'll wait till you hang up, and then I'll do my dissertation on the other side of the hour. That's what I'll do.
Welcome to do what you want.
I just want to mention Manuel Macron. He's missing too. A lot of these people are running from their countrymen because they know that they messed up. They did a lot of things they shouldn't have done for incentives upon themselves.
Yeah, and it talks it talks a lot towards the attitude that the people controlling the politicians have towards the politicians, like there is some kind of disposable means. And the next one, they're going to just get one to pass some laws, and they'll get them to resign. They'll get the next one to do the next set of stuff. But I don't think they're really counted in that really, for the people who were watching that last election, was it. This is something that hasn't really dawned on them yet. And right now, the best thing they should be doing to really to even have any stake in the game moving forward in the future is to back out slowly. But they're not. They're just doubling down. So this is it's like an all or nothing thing. So it's better for us.
Yeah, that was good. That was good, Cortex.
I'm still going, dude.
Looky. Talky. Looky. Good. Good, okay. Cortex. Talky.
Dude, all you've been doing, Jacker, all you've been doing tonight is cutting people off and disrailing the conversation. Yeah. Okay.
Well, the second half, the first half was quite good, which is weird. Anywho, see, the thing is, because all the, go ahead, Mr. Wayne. No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
let's do more talky, looky.
Real quick.
Let's do more of that.
So what I'm thinking about, is this exactly what they want their new world order to look like? Is a bunch of warring different tribes broken up to the hilt that you can't even identify, any of them? I mean, that's what it seems like they're going for, and at least the reaction they're getting.
As an example of the second half of this show, yes, because they rather everyone fighting against each other instead of coming together as one, because we are many and they are few.
Mass cooperation and collaboration, and it seems to be the thing they're most afraid of.
I mean, come on. I was the one talking about that. Let's do
it. Okay. Hijacker, if you want to free Australia, get in an aeroplane, load up all of your followers and all of your weapons, and come over and save us.
I'll make you a cake.
Otherwise, shut up.
Actually, I do it through concepts, strategy, ideas. More powerful than armies, by the way.
The ideas are good in the first place.
Okay, well, in order to take over Australia, like I said, that eugenic society thing that I posted there is all the people with the big names in Melbourne who are now families in Melbourne who are part of this Andrews government thing, who are backing this project. So the first thing you could do is to take out those families. For one, I don't know anyone that could have the team to do that. Secondly, for government-wise, keep the state of emergency in play, but take over government, again, perform citizens' arrest, give them to 2 colonels and a bishop for a due process, and, which is what you can do through law if you've got the mob in that mind to do it. Put in the First Nations Assembly, which is the Aboriginal conjunction to Parliament, and ask them what their laws are as far as...
Harry, you need help.
No, let him finish.
And then from that mandate of declaration of the new governance of how to manage the land, you wipe away all the maritime trade laws, all the conventions that are set up for the international firms to trade, because you're taking the focus away from...
Harry, that's not the way the world works.
That's not the way the current world system works, and we know we have to make a new one.
One big issue that is happening here in Australia is you need to change hearts and minds. You need people to sort of back up what you... Harry, that could be step 2 or 3. You are correct. But you still need the populace on side. I think Hijacker is putting forward a violent revolution or something similar to that, which I don't think that will go that well here in Australia. You'll just
it's
cause more of it.
No, you don't even know what I'm talking about. You won't even give me 6 seconds to talk.
Yeah, but we do, and you repeat yourself.
No, you don't even let me finish. You all interrupt. You gang me.
Because you're repeating yourself. You won't get...
The audience knows...
Jacker, I've got a question for you. Jacker, how much you had to drink tonight, buddy? Are you all right? I'm just asking if you've had anything to drink tonight. I mean, I'm just you're kind of being a little bit belligerent, okay? I want you to understand I like you, okay? But you're a little bit over the top tonight for some reason. I mean, I don't know if it's just you're stressed out. I know you got a lot of stuff going on in your own life. Everybody
does. The whole world is focused on Australia. They know where Australia goes, the rest of the world goes. And so,
well, I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, so I mean, here, look. I mean, the way I would look at it, the way I would think of this, the way I look at this, the way I think of this, I think the Australians are pretty damn concerned about what's taking place here in the United States
as well.
Because as well. That's right.
There was a lot of people Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead, brother. It's your broadcast.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that. Oh, me and my lofty ideas. We've been in Victoria, Cortek. I would like to hear from your perspective after my paragraph, because you're new, and then Pac as well, because you're in different points of the country. Where, believe me, I've been to New South Wales and Queensland. Y'all different. You know that, don't you? Different people, different. It's still Australia. It's the same thing as like someone in Georgia.
I've known Hijacker for a long time.
Okay, yeah. What's that got to do with what I'm talking about?
As you were.
Absolutely, everyone has their say. Thank you.
Okay,
that's all we need to say.
Can I continue my say then? What was I talking about? You need the populace to stand up. Now I'm repeating myself. The issue is that there are people pushing back. There's still protests going forward. You also have 20 months of Stockholm Syndrome-esque type of things where everyone is over it. I mean, you keep seeing videos of police people saying, look, it's my job. I need money. I've got to pay for food for the kids, and I'm just doing my job. So the government is we're in an abusive relationship with our government at the moment. And we need to find an Australian way of getting out of that. A lot of people think the tyranny of Dan Andrews and the Victorian government, we'll wait to if we don't stand up now, we'll just vote them out. But that's kicking the can down the road because, Team A and Team B is funded by the same people. And there are a lot of people that think... Yeah, and you think a lot of people think that Dan Andrews is doing quite well, even if they don't like the government. They They believe in the vaccine program to stop COVID, and it's this virus is deadly. Unfortunately, it's only deadly to fat people and old people because of it's just the immune system, and so we're seeing the Victorian police are locking down hard on the protesters because our leaders are immature little shits because they want their way. And it's like, if anyone actually saw the press conference with Dan Andrews on Monday about getting out of the lockdown, he was smiling like a 4-year-old boy, but it came across as psychopathic.
Is that the guy that looks like a rat eating a piece of cheese? Got his nose kind of pointed in the air, just
yeah. He looks like he's got glasses, crew cut, flappy ears, and the hint of
that's him.
And a hint of hunchback. But we're still going to have that segregation until well into 2022, and it's unless you actually have
Queen's Block.
Yeah, and unless you have the people stand up and defy the government in a non-violent way, because if it goes violent, I have no idea how it's going to go down. Because as Americans like to keep pointing me out, as Americans keep pointing out to me, you lost all your guns, which is half true.
Yeah, and so I got a political solution. Nobody wants to hear it.
Okay, Jack, we're all ears. Unless it's the same thing over and over again. That's where we draw.
Oh, that's what you're going to do. You're going to let me go about 6 seconds.
No,
then you're going to cut in, or John Wayne.
Jacker, somebody said go ahead.
I'll just wait till the top of the hour. Monty will get off, and then the airwaves will be open, and then I'll be able to jump on for 10, 15 minutes and lay out the strategy. That's what I'm down to.
All right, yeah, good. And that I think that's recorded for the next roundtable, so it should go into the archives. See, I don't know what we're actually talking about because it's just standing on each other and just yelling at each other and arguing. It's like, well, I think Team Dark have won here instead of looking for solutions. Everyone's just.
It's easy. It's just gotten derailed.
No, it was all talky, looky, ego, cutting in.
Are you projecting?
Saw it. The audience saw it. You actually got a big audience right now, Monty.
Jacker, are you looking in the mirror right now when you said that?
They all see it. John Wayne, your ego, you're jumped in. Everybody's jumped in. You all got exposed.
You're breaking my heart, man.
And we did well last. Go ahead.
You want a political solution? There's one way, Jacker. If you want something strategically to do, write to our Governor General. Our Governor General of Australia is the only person who has the power to get rid of the government, to dissolve the government. Yes, the federal government. Well, one government falls and then they all fall.
Well, yes, yeah. In Australia, hello.
I've got somebody bigger than him that can knock him in the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah, because violence is going to more. Yeah, so
that can free Australia. Nobody wants
through violence. That's not going to work. You're going to if someone work that way.
Metaphorically, I'm talking about a big political power that can smack that guy in the head, saying, "Look, stop what you're doing," and trade in.
Get on with it. What is it?
Never mind.
Get on with it. What is it? Get on with it. What is it? Tell us right now. Right now, I want to hear it, Jacker.
I'll wait for the other hour. I'll just get cut off.
So you can't say it in one sentence?
No, he's talking about Putin. He's talking about Russia coming in and saving us.
Yeah, that's an invading force.
Yeah, But what the problem's got nothing to do with Australia. That's
No,
what
I'm talking about who's going to be the next president of the world.
You just interrupted.
You don't think these gangs work for one another? You don't think they calculate stuff
Jacker,
like that?
are you listening? Shut up for a minute, please. Like, didn't your mother tell you it was rude to interrupt? Look,
that's who told me.
There are people who are controlling the world, right? We all know that. There's a gang of 7 people who control the world.
7 gangs. Yes. No, right.
A gang of 7 people. Right?
7 cartels. Right. 7 cartels.
7 families, actually, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Break it down to Jacker's idealism.
Yeah, can we not just repeat the same thing for 30 seconds? So there's 7 groups.
Yes.
There's 7 groups. Moving on.
Yeah, they're controlling the world.
Okay.
Take them out, Jacker. Right? Simple. Take them out. Right? And then everything from the United Nations, the World Health Organization.
No, you can't, Pat. You can't. You can only pick. You can only pick.
You know the funny part about it is, Jacker, they're on the northern hemisphere. We're on the southern hemisphere. We've only got a few. You've got the majority. Do it.
Now, the issue with what we're talking about here in this section, the issue that we're talking about in this issue is you need someone to back up. What's the right word? The accountability. You need
come to the aid of Australia.
That's exactly right. We need the government to actually
on Australia. That's
oh my God! Again he goes.
Can I say
please?
something?
I'll do it on the other side of the hour.
Please, yes, Cora Creek. Please, your turn.
Cortek. Can I say something? At the last 20 minutes of roundabout talk has kind of made me think of a book that came out. And it comes down to the mass of people start to slowly try and point the finger and discover the hierarchies and see who's actually responsible, because all these people have names and addresses. And there's no doubt about that. It reminds me of a book that was actually written maybe about 10 years ago. And the basic premise, it wasn't called this, but the basic premise was take one with you. It was these people with terminal diseases and just going all out to get rid of the people who are actually responsible for this kind of stuff. As we get closer and closer.
How are you going to get the general public on side?
Well, you're not. You're not. This is a personal decision by people who have terminal diseases.
Go ahead, John Wayne.
I think it'll be a form of like common ground, like I was saying, that needed to be formed there about 3 or 4 months ago. I was yelling about common ground. Well, we started to find common ground. These airlines, these factory workers going on strike. I mean, the whole country is saying, "Hey, man, we're not going to. No, we don't need this thing. We're not going to have it stuck in our arm." Another thing I mentioned was 6 months ago. When's it going to be until planes start falling out of the sky? And pilots dying behind the controls. Well, that took 7 months. So for whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. I would have to say it's going to be within the next year and a half, at least easily, if not full force this winter. I really hope and pray that everything can be maintained, but I don't see any form of maintaining control anywhere. They've found their system for how to completely kneecap and destroy the entire economy, the world, the structure that we've known for quite some time.
Doesn't feel like they're backing down at all.
No, they're not at all. And one of the things they're going to need, they need a war. They need a war. Look, we see it throughout all times of history, right? We've come to these same precipices many times before, not to this degree, by God, not at all. But look, World War I, World War II, the big wars, all the other proxy wars. I mean, you could even say Vietnam was a proxy to a certain degree against the communists and the Chinese and the Russians, right? Yeah. Because we had the Korean Peninsula. We were trying to maintain that little chunk of land we held over there to keep North and South separated, and then fight against the Reds, the Chinese, because the Chinese are in bed with the Koreans. I mean, North Koreans. I mean, come on, it's really something to see, because we are in an arms race unlike anything we've ever seen before. And we're declassifying top secret weapons platforms. People are starting to see these things in the sky, these black triangles, a lot more often now.
Yeah, I've definitely seen pictures of more aircraft
Yeah, it's funny
like that
how John
floating
Wayne
around.
gets 2 minutes.
Well, he's saying new content that's super interesting, that's making us all think. This is why we're quiet. This is why we're not telling him to shut up, because he's got good content.
Who's it going to?
Who's
it going to? Our technology. Sorry.
Well, that is actually
the
that goes back to
right.
Yeah, that goes back to the submarine contract, because part of that for Australia, who snubbed the French, and they withdrew the ambassador.
That's easy.
No, well, no, not the French people.
It's not, it wasn't right.
But no, it's not the done thing, mate. It's un-Australian.
Not only the submarine, but I want to say
if I may,
go ahead.
The US is going to share technology with the US is going to share technology with Australia, and so they're setting
always.
Yeah, but they actually announced it on national television this time.
I know. It's funny. 10 or 15 years ago, I hugged
Not really. The United States is playing two sides. Pay attention here. It's damned important. Okay, so the other day, the Chinese, they fired a missile, right? And it was able to circle the globe like 2 or 3 times on its own. So it's interesting with that having happened and being said. Okay, well, where did they get that technology? Oh, that's
John
right.
Wayne, nobody believes that.
They got that from the United States. Okay, they got that technology from the United States.
Germans,
United States,
Germans,
the United. No, listen to me. The United States is.
Come on, don't.
God, for the love of God, both of you, please stop.
Stop.
Both of you, stop.
Stop talking, and John, you talk.
So this missile circled the globe for three days, I guess, or something to that effect. It was a very long time.
Nonsense.
And when this weapon systems and these weapon platforms, they do exist. Did the Chinese make it? Well, they very damn well could have.
Nonsense.
But what I think it is you've got this criminal.
All right, stop talking over each other.
Like, do
you want me to actually do a show? Stop talking. Stop talking. Do you want me to do a show anymore? Because we're here to have a conversation. It's not about who's right or wrong. You understand?
No, it's the idea. How long they've been.
Then stop interrupting. It's just simple. Let the sentence end. Like that.
I think China's I think the United States is just funding, kind of a both sides to pit against each other, right? Here, buy our stuff. Meanwhile, they're selling them some top grade supersonic, upper atmospheric missile system. You know what I mean?
I've not seen any other. I've not seen any other patterns to think that anything else would be what's going on. All I can see from patterns of trade is a pattern of double crossing and just get what you can get and get out. And this turns like a whole planet against any kind of regime that acts like that.
And did you finish, sir?
Sorry.
So
yes. Okay. If I'm if what is actually happening is, let's just go economic slightly here. War is a racket, and the economy is fueled mainly by the military-industrial complex. And so even before December 9th, 2019, the economy was completely screwed anyway. And then you have all this where, if we get out of the pandemic and things go back to normal, insert laugh here, generations will have to pay this back, because how much money has been printed and put out there. Look at the profits of the pharmaceutical. They've made tens of billions of dollars from this.
Yeah, 20, 30 plus.
Doesn't matter, Monty. We don't have years.
It matters a lot.
Right.
Of course
we're down to months. I'll talk about more of this in about 5 minutes. Once you close your show out, we get on the other side of the air. And then I'm going to lay out basically.
Yes, you've mentioned that 5 or 6 times. Thank you. We get it.
Just let everybody know. You got high numbers right now, really high numbers. So just letting everybody know.
Yeah, most people tune into this show to have a laugh, and I think they're just laughing at how crap a host I am.
Oh,
I know.
It wasn't that good this afternoon.
You're a good host, man.
For a high point.
Sorry, Monty.
Go ahead, Paul. You have to say something. I know.
You have the stick in your hand.
We're all stuck in the same globe, or flat Earth. Spectrum.
So
Planet, hologram, whatever. But that's a question that needs to be answered later, because if people are trying to kill us, let's deal with that first. And it does one way of looking at it.
American.
That's an interruption. I'm just going to point.
Saves your ass. Saves Australia.
Yeah, but you can't save your own country at the moment.
Yeah,
so
we can't even save our own country at the moment, Jacker. Yeah. So we got a point.
Even China. No. Paul, no. Stop that.
But thank you. Yeah, Jacker, I think you need to read like Candide or something. The whole gist of it is to kind of take care of your own garden, tend to your own garden kind of thing. So get that in order first.
Yeah, so thank you, Cortek. We're at the end of the show. I should edit this down so the second hour will be about 7 minutes long. You've been listening to Planet Collingwood. I'd like to thank everyone for an interesting chat, because, this is how bar fights start. But anyway, Cortek, where can people? Are you allowed out of your house yet?
I'm allowed out at certain periods during certain phases of the moon. Next couple of days are going to be a big one.
Yeah, don't go out in the next couple of days. It's a full moon, and they'll see you. Aust Paul, you'll be awake at 3 a.m. because you're in pain, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Harry, thank you for joining. Haven't heard from you for a while. Thank you for adding to the chat. All important information. However, I think it's 2 steps from what we're down the line, if that makes sense. So it's still valid. Don't get me wrong. Mr. Wayne, Mr. Wayne, hey!
5 minutes.
I just want to say thank you, Monty. And I've noticed that every time that I start to talk, even when I join, Hijacker wants to interrupt.
Mr. Wayne, where can people see your show or hear your show?
Every Saturday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, Revolution Radio Studio A. The Unequivocal Truth, DEFCON 1.
And thank you, Pac, for joining. That was a strange Planet Collingwood. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll. Bye, everyone.
See everybody in 5 minutes.